Hello and welcome back to our reading for today. This is the Book of Revelations and Self-Empowerment. This is lesson number 3. The Charmer, the Liar, the Master Manipulator. Beware and wise up. It's becoming wise to the game. Okay, I always like to draw these cards a little bit early and sit with them and let them kind of percolate and step into the energies and meditate on them and just see what comes in for messages. So this particular spread we have here is quite interesting. And I want to point out, first of all, the synchronicities. We have the Fox card. It's card number 14. Today is November 14th. So the chance of that happening is almost astronomically next to nil. So that tells us that's a very prominent card in this message, this reading actually. So when we come across the Fox card, I'm going to talk about this because it's so significant. It means you are dealing with a con artist, someone who is a master manipulator. They would tell you everything they want you to know, they want you to hear to get what they want. Okay, it's cunning, it's plotting, and it's very deceptive energy. And also, when I was doing the pre-shuffle, the Moon card actually showed up on the pre-shuffle. It flipped out. So when I see the Moon card, that means there's hidden things going on in the background. It's also the message to you to follow your inner intuition, follow your meditative guide or your loved ones in the past, in the spirit world, or that connection to the divine. Okay, so meaning following your intuition, let that be your guide essentially. If you get that feeling something is off, you're probably right. Okay, so again, somebody who is a big sneak, a liar, a manipulator. And unfortunately, I've seen this attitude and this sort of cycle or situation many times. So unfortunately, this is going to involve somebody who basically is a narcissist. So the narcissist attitude or somewhere linked or related to that kind of energy. So that attitude, it's all about me. Nobody else matters. It's all about me, myself, and I. This person, whoever you're involved with, is got absolutely zero or no regard for anybody else. There's no courtesy towards somebody else, no respect for somebody else, just no thought process on anybody else's part whatsoever. It's about me, myself, and I. Okay, so again, this Fox card is all about deception. Things are not how they appeared. They would tell you one thing, do the opposite in the background. So this whole relationship, this could be friendship, personal, professional relationship. Take it as it lands, apply it accordingly. It's different story for everyone, but the same undertone or the same message is going to be the same for everyone. This is somebody, again, who is sneaky. They're plotting. They're full of deception. They're the master manipulator. They're full of falsehoods. And this is very linked with a very charming nature. So that, again, links back to that narcissistic attitude, the charmer to get what they want. They'll charm you with false flattery to put a smile on your face to get what they want, use you as a convenience. Okay? So just keep that in mind. The charmer that puts the falsehood message in to put the deceptive smile on your face. It's not how it looks. It's not how it feels. And I just really get this distinctive feeling that this particular relationship, this is how it would have started, or it would have been the first step forward by being conned into a relationship, told you everything you wanted to hear to get you involved in a relationship, and being told falsehoods to bring you down that kind of red carpet road. But it was never how it actually appeared. And you were probably starting to catch on to this person's games, okay? So this person would be playing a lot of mind games with you too to get what you want. Again, the master manipulator. That's the end of the story. That's the black and white undertone of this, whoever you're dealing with. Now, something else I want to point out is when I was doing the cards and laying them out, this deceptive person, who is the charmer, is a master manipulator, plays mind games with you. You might not have caught on to this game or this cycle, but I do believe there's somebody from the outside who's told you this, and you might not have believed him. So this probably something to do with a very close friend or a family member would have told you, because from an outside looking in, a person can snap up and pick up on this energy just like that. But when you're involved, emotionally involved, you're just too close to the situation to actually take a close look, or actually that bird's eye view. Step out of the emotion, step out of that cycle, and have a good bird's eye view, looking from a larger perspective. And until you do that, you might not actually see the mind games that have been going on here. So, it would be somebody who, would love bomb you to get what they want, or someone who would pretending they're sick or ill to get what they want, to manipulate you, to get you to do whatever they want to do. Okay. And your wants, your needs, your emotional fulfillment, it doesn't matter to this person. They couldn't care less. Again, that narcissistic, me, myself, and I, is the only thing that's important to this person. And they would expect you or others to bow down to what they demand. Okay. And so this is not okay. And so anytime we see this behavior within people, and it's unfortunately, I think, more common than what is not common. But again, this will go back to usually what they were around in their early childhood or in their early environment, or what they've been honed or what they've been taught in a home environment, wherever that is, and whoever they would have been involved with. And often this will follow family cycles, family lines. It's karmic cycles that keep surfacing in every generation, that keeps on going. So every generation would have had some sort of exposure, or it was going to be a repeat cycle that keeps on repeating in every generation of this family. Okay, so you can go look back, and if they happen to have siblings or other family members, often you will see that same thing happening within siblings within that same family. So just take a look, step back out of the situation and take a larger perspective look and see what's going on. If you were to take your story, and if you were actually to sit and listen to somebody else tell you that same story back, what would be your opinion? What would be your analysis? What would you see if somebody was telling you your story, but they made it their story? What would your advice be, and what would you actually see as a truth? Okay. And again, this person, whoever you're involved with, could be very, very belittling. Your accomplishments, your goals, your dreams would mean absolutely nothing, and they would make you feel small. And probably this has been going on for a number of years, or feeling not only small, belittled, but very unimportant, or being treated servant-like. Instead of spouse or partner, it would be more servant, and someone who would bow down to them, or someone who's always serving them on a first basis. Everybody else comes last, they must come first. And again, a note of compliance. That's just coming to me right now too. So often you will see demand, or someone having temper tantrums to get what they want. So they demand and they order, and your job is compliance. And I believe I've mentioned this in another reading. So when you have a relationship that is based on order and demand and compliance, I always say, I've had this talk with other people, the actual meaning of that particular situation is called prison. It's called jail. That's not a relationship. So just something to ponder, something to think about. In a relationship, that's a two-way street. There should be equal give and take, and there should be equal respect back and forth. This is not the case here. Okay. And again, a hidden identity I have written down. So you would be just an extension of them, like not mattering, being made to feel small, more like a servant than a spouse or a partner or a common law partner, however the situation or relationship is. And being used more as a tool, like you're a tool to them, and you feel probably at this time, as how many years has went on, feeling used. Okay. And so this would be a person, like you're always sitting in the dark, you're always sitting in the background, and like given kind of the title of a nothing or a nobody, being hidden. You have no identity. You would be known as something of theirs, or something in relation to them. They would come first, and you're always sitting hidden in the dark. So that's going to strike home with some of you out there. That's going to make sense when I say that. A hidden identity, like you are part of their identity. You don't have your own identity, so your personal goals and your achievements and your dreams wouldn't matter to them. Again, that narcissistic energy. And something that's really interesting is, if you go online, I would suggest go looking up the characteristics and the meaning of narcissistic personality, because right there, that might set the light bulbs off. Okay. And like I said, this particular reading is kind of, catching on to the mind games, wising up and becoming wise. Okay. What else do I have here? That is particularly... Oh, yes, there is one other thing I want to mention. There's two other things I want to mention. So when I was also doing the pre-shuffle, not only did the moon come up, so that can involve, Pisces or Cancer for that moon card. It's always about the hidden and being deception. Can't see clearly, and you can't see through the dark. So there's things going on in the background you don't know about. There's things being hidden that you don't know about. It's about using your intuition as your guide. So that actually spells out here in these cards as well. I will introduce the cards as after I'm done talking. And something else that keeps on flipping up over and over, and the last 3 readings is the Revolution card in one of these decks. It's not here, but I was shuffling and kind of cleaning up cards, and it flopped on the table again. So it's about wanting a revolution, wanting some freedom, fighting for your freedom, and it's about high transformation. So it's like your high time to get out of here. And so also the song that goes with this reading is Hotel California by the Eagles. So go listen to that song. There might be a message in there for you for this reading. Something else I do want to mention is every time I'm doing these kind of more in-depth readings, there is one particular reading, I think I did 3 readings ago, and it's called What is He or She Doing in the Background That's in the Dark or the Hidden Realm. You might want to go and listen to that particular reading because that reading actually came out in reverse. So it was actually the opposite of how it's supposed to be meant, which means the person who is wanting out or needs help, that's your cue. There's a message in there that you will need some help or some direction in order to get out of this negative, very negative cycle. Okay. And also when I look at this card, this could be a very, very long-term relationship. So up to or in excess of 14 years. Okay. So take that as it lands. So I'm going to now introduce the cards. I kind of give you the overview of my notes or whatever, but we have card number 48, Divine Support. And so this is a Ganesha card. So anytime you see a Ganesha or an elephant, is one thing, it's good luck. Second of all, it blows the hurdles and the blockages off the path in life. So if there's a road blockage or a hurdle in your way, the Ganesha is always there to blow the doors off and blow that path wide open. So that means we're looking towards freedom. We're looking towards revolution, a new path opening up, getting out of this cycle, getting into something brand new. Okay, so here is our card number 14. Okay, and there again is that fox. That's that cunning, that's plotting, that's a master manipulator card. Things are not how they seem. It's the master charmer to get what they want. Okay, so and again, the card 14, this is actually being recorded on November 14th. So like I said, the probability of that showing up on the numerical day in the calendar is astronomically impossible. Okay, but here it is. Okay. And again, we have a 9 of clubs down in the bottom here. And every time I see 9, that's working on an ending, working on a culmination, working on a conclusion. So you have been thinking about doing this or getting out of this for a while. And I kind of think this is nothing new to you. You have caught on to the mind games. You've caught on to this negative cycle. And it's time to jump ship, time to get out of this. So that number 9, that tells me you are on your way out. You're working on a plan to get out. Again, go back and listen to that earlier reading called What is He or She Doing in the Dark Hidden Realm. It's something like that. I can't quite remember the title I have on it, but you will see it about 3 or 4 readings back. And this is the card of acceptance. And I will show you this card. And I will read you this card. Acceptance. You may be disappointed with a recent outcome. Remember, if one door closes, you are being redirected to one that will open soon for your true soul path. Okay, so this, you know that this is on its way out. There is a door closing, but I kind of think the person you're involved with is so arrogant and so full of themselves, they would think not in a million years can this ever happen to me, or how dare he or she leave me because I'm the end all be all. They would have themselves pointed or depicted as godlike, right? They give orders, everybody runs. And again, in this here, we see the blue butterfly. Again, that's another sign of transformation, ending of one cycle, beginning of a new cycle, and accepting things for as they are. So as soon as this card came up, it's like, you know what? You finally caught on to what's going on. You caught on to the mind games, and you became very, very aware of what's going on. You became very wise to the game. And again, I'm going to mention this again. Somebody has told you this. Somebody close has told you this, and it might have been a little bit upsetting when they kind of pointed out the black and white fact that this person is playing mind games with you and you're being controlled. But I think over time, you probably seen the light and you probably come to agree with this person. And you might have thanked this person maybe later on, or if you're not, you probably will. Sometimes we hear those things that we don't necessarily want to hear at the time, but it's a message that needs to be told, and eventually you will catch on. Because if they wouldn't have told you this, and you wouldn't have stepped back and take that larger bird's eye perspective of this whole situation, relationship, you may have been stuck in this for many, many decades, right? And becomes a very, very challenged time and a challenged relationship. Something that only degrades over time. It will never get better. And again, this can also involve emotional abuse, mental abuse, right? And this can also be financial abuse. You can, as in, you can be being controlled by money. They would be threatening to take or keep money away from you, to control you, to keep you where you are, keep you in that cycle, keep you small, keep you controlled. And so they might be using money as a tool as for control. So meaning, controlling the money, only giving you money, or threatening to take away money just to hold you where you're at, okay? And so when you've seen this, when I see this card of acceptance, it also means you've accepted the fact, you've seen the light, you've seen what's going on here, and you can't change somebody else, nor is that your job. And so just keep that in mind. This person probably would expect you to baby them and pamper them and expect, to take on all their responsibilities, their shadow work. Well, you can't do that. That is an inside job for all of us, and nobody is responsible for somebody else's shadow work or making somebody else happy. That's an individual job upon all of us. That's on our own shoulders. That's something we all need to do. You can't fix somebody else. You can't help somebody else, but you can help them help themselves. But the key is they need to be willing to help themselves. You can't do that for them. If that was the case, if we could help and make everybody else better and a better person, we would not be in this situation. We'd have a much better world now, wouldn't we? That's not the case. We don't have that power and that control over anybody. The only power and control we have is over ourselves, okay? So accepting the situation for what it is, seeing the black and white of what's going, accepting, the challenge that's come with this cycle or this relationship or partnership. It is what it is. I've now accepted it. Now, what am I going to do about it? And so you've accepted that this is not going to go anywhere good. It's only going to get further degraded. And I've accepted the fact I need to get out of this, right? I've accepted the fact that it is what it is. And I see the black and white of it. I see how this person is. I see how this person operates. I see how this person thinks. And you can kind of see the psychology of this person's brain, right? How they manipulate to get what they want. And again, this will be a karmic cycle running in that person's family. It's a rinse, repeat, rinse, repeat. It goes over and over generations. If you stop and think about it that way, just sit there and think and ask questions, right? And it will jump out at you. Okay, now we have the card of healing. So again, this has been a pretty long, challenging cycle for you. So healing. The mind, body, and soul are in a period of deep healing right now. You are going through many transformations at once, and you are being asked to allow yourself to receive the healing you need with open arms and an open heart. Again, accepting the way it is and accepting a new path, a new way of living, a new way of life, and accepting the healing that comes with it. This has been a rough ride, and it's not been pleasant. And I guess more so being treated like a servant than a spouse, or a girlfriend, or a common law wife, and that's just not acceptable. And I think you finally caught on to this. You always want to see the best in somebody and hope for the best, but reality sets in after a while, and you need to see what it is, and you need to see the black and white of it. And again, there's somebody who's told you this. Okay, this is the 1942 card, and I will read this. Let your inner feelings and emotions be your guide, your answer. They never lead you astray or wrong. They become your instant red flag, positive or negative, so pay attention. This goes back to the intuition. So if something happens, and some people, actually I guess a lot of people overlook this very, very general, but it's a good golden rule of thumb, and you instantly have your answer. But most people just bypass it, and they don't seem to pay attention to this, and I'm not sure why. But if a situation arises or something happens, and your instant knee-jerk reaction is happiness, okay, well, that's good. So there's something positive going on. So what is, identify that, acknowledge it, okay? Think about that, dissect it, break it apart as to what's going on and why you're happy and what's going on that would make you happy, right? The other side of that is when something happens and you feel upset, instantly angry, you feel maybe depressed or less than. So something, maybe you're being ordered to do something by this person and you don't want to do it. You instantly feel angry, upset, or hurt. Bingo. There you go. That knee-jerk reaction, that knee-jerk emotion is always, always, always your answer and your red flag as to what's going on. If you were happy, you wouldn't be feeling sad. If you were happy, you wouldn't be feeling angry. If you were happy, you wouldn't be feeling down in the dumps, or maybe this person's putting you down. And those situations, so as soon as you feel that knee-jerk, in this case it's going to be negative, there's a reason for that, and you should be paying attention to that, because that's the true inner feelings, and that's your guide, that's your intuition leading you for the answer that you're looking for. And again, this would be repeat negative things that keep on popping up. So it's however they're treating you, whatever they're saying to you, it would be building anger, it would be building resentment, and all those negative things that go on with it. And just something I want to mention when I mention the anger and the resentment, just keep in mind that those are energies and those are vibrations that are held in the body, right? Though that doesn't go away until this is acknowledged and healed and dealt with. So something I have learned over time is that those energies, anger and grief and resentment, they tend to be stored in our organs. So grief is held in the lungs, anger is held in the liver, and resentment is held in the gallbladder. So over time, depending how long this is going on, you would probably see maybe liver upset, liver problems for digestion, those kind of things, or something maybe even worse. You would start seeing gallbladder attacks, problems with the gallbladder, problems with the bile. And with the grief, whatever's going on here, that can impact the lungs. So we can say, shortness of breath, or it can be, asthma, those kind of things. Over time, that energy, the longer it stays, in limbo as in a negative energy, it's stored in the body. And over time, it will turn to sickness. It will turn to eventually illness. Okay. Just something to ponder, something to think about, because I've seen that as well happen. Okay. And so I want to read the last card to you. And again, there's two came out. I normally would take one out of each of these decks, but two came out here and two came out here. So this is, the sky has no limits. What is holding you back? Is there anything holding you back? Okay, well, we know damn well there's something holding you back, and that something is the somebody you're with. Again, this would be a person who has absolutely no regard for your interest, your dreams, any of those kind of things. If you wanted to go back to school, they would probably put you down just to hold you back for their personal usage, to be their servant, right? And if you did do something, I would not be scared to say that if you did something good, you had a really, really good accomplishment, this person is going to try step in and take your credit for it. And so that's really, really sad when that happens, right? And becomes just like, wouldn't matter what you do and how good you do it, they would still want to take credit for your work. So often when I see a spread like this would be like you could be the workhorse in the background. You could be doing all the groundwork, all the work. It doesn't matter what it is. And this person would be sitting back ordering you to do this and do that. And when it's all done and a tail takes shape and it looks really, really good, they would want to take your credit. Not they would want it, they would take your credit for it. Again, feeling made to feel small, unimportant, and in that background, and often we can see in the astrology world that 12th house is very lit up. That's things going on behind the scenes, right? So there's lots of work and lots of things and lots of details that you're looking after going on behind the scenes that keeps this whole ship up running smooth, and yet they're going to take the credit for it. So as soon as I say this reading, you're going to either resonate with it or you're not, and you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. Again, this can be charming and manipulating the public, this fox card. And so the charming face, the smile, but it's total complete deception in the background went to the public. So what do I mean by that? I mean, in the public, this person will be one way. They're charming, they're wonderful, they're happy-go-lucky, but behind closed doors, they're exactly the opposite. It's like, the public's watching their right hand, and behind doors, no one sees what this deceptive falsehood con artist is doing in the background with the left hand. It's very, very deceptive personality. And so, but eventually that mask falls off. They wear a mask in public, but eventually that mask is going to fall off. And that mask is going to fall off the day that you pull the pin out of here and put them in their spot. And again, this person will be so high in themselves and so full of themselves and have an over ego and so arrogant that they would never think in a million years that this could ever happen to me. Like they feel entitled. That's a good word for this. There's a sense of entitlement here that everybody owes them. Everybody must run. Everybody must obey. That's not reality. And so, unfortunately, when you see that, lots of times these people, they're all over the place, and they live in kind of a fantasy land, and they live in a non-reality world. And so, in the end, what happens, it becomes the eye-opener, the swift kick in the ass that they really have had coming. It's karmic. What comes around goes around. You get what you deserve. You get what you earn. But it's the ultimate reality check is what's going to go on here. And so you will have people that are going to help you get out of this. I can see this, and you've been looking at this transformation. I can see her looking at that butterfly. and you've totally grown apart. You accepted what it is. If you look at these two cards, they're totally facing the opposite ways. So you look that they're not looking at each other. So this has been something going on behind closed doors, probably more so living as roommates, I would think. There's nothing in common anymore. You have outgrown this person. Okay. This person is a very low vibrational person, but the mentality is very, very elementary as well. So this could be someone who's, 50, 60, maybe 70, or, actually 30, probably right through 70, but it doesn't matter the age. It's the maturity level. It's just not there. They've never grown up. This is somebody who's been catered to their whole life. And I'm not going to say silver spoon fed because that's not the case. They can still be spoiled and catered to, even though that was not the case. Somebody's been catering to them their whole life, and they would just expect that to carry on. And that's where that sense of entitlement would come from, rather. So when I say immature, the age means nothing. Like I said, they could be 20, 30, 40, 50, all the way up to 70, but that they've never matured. They've never elevated. There's been no evolution in that personality. So it's somebody of an older age who would have the mentality of probably like a 7-year-old child, if that, right? Temper tantrums to get what they want. Empty threats to get what they want. But if it elevates into something more severe, it can turn into physical, emotional, mental abuse to get what they want. This person's never grown up. And so eventually when that happens, when you have two people, they outgrow each other, it becomes nothing in common. And I can see that. There's been nothing in common here for quite some time. So anyway, I want to end the reading. So for those of you who resonate with this has been a tough go, but it's your ultimate way out. And again, that freedom card just keeps on showing up for the last 2 or 3 readings, I think. So anyway, check out the previous readings, and you might want to check out the November rain reading too, because that's actually a really cool reading. That's about death and transformation as well, right? Washing away the old and building something new, opening up that new cycle, that new door. Okay, so that will conclude our reading. So until we talk again, stay happy, stay healthy, take care of yourself, and take care of each other. And I want to just mention, if you haven't subscribed, please subscribe to my channel because it's free, doesn't cost nothing. Click the bell icon and click like if you like, please. That would be much appreciated. And so if you want to join me on my YouTube channel, so that's Midnight Bisous, obviously you're here. Again, click like and subscribe if you would. And I also have a 7th Heaven Junk Drawer YouTube channel. And I also have a Soup to Nuts Astrology plus Health and Anatomy. I am an astrologer by career. And so my Facebook groups are Midnight Bisous Tarot and Oracle. And the spelling is Midnight, and Bisous is Bisous. And the other Facebook group is Midnight Bisous C'est La Vie Astrology. Jump into its rhythm. And I have an Etsy shop, Midnight Bisous Tarot and Oracle. And I have an eBay shop, so Midnight Bisous Tarot, Oracle, and Astrology. And in those shops, I do have these cards. This is a particular card that belongs to that shop. I have a dream journal, and I also carry Jenny Florence's The Art of Manifestation deck as well. So come check me out. So anyway, you have yourself a great day and a great evening, and good luck on this ending this circuit, ending this cycle, and putting an end to the karmic cycle. Bye for now.